I had a letter recently that said, "Dear Richard, I know since you've retired, you've taken a child bride." That's my wife.
You knew the face before you knew the name. The carnation in the lapel, the cigarette he was never quite without, the grin that seemed to let every nervous stranger in on a private joke. For 9 years, 5 nights a week, Richard Dawson kissed America hello. By one producer's count, he kissed something close to 20,000 women on that stage, and the country loved him for it. They called him warm. They called him kind. They called him the friendliest man on television. But the people who worked beside him used a different word. They used the word feared. The producers who built the show around him learned to walk softly on his stage. The man who created it could not control him. And the network that paid him spent years quietly begging him to stop the very thing the audience adored. There were 2 Richard Dawsons. There was the one you watched, and there was the one they knew. This is the story of the second man, and here is the strangest part. To understand the man they feared, you have to go back to a name almost no one ever said out loud. Not Richard, not Dawson. A boy's name from a small English port town belonging to a child who would spend the rest of his life making sure you never found him. Because before he was anyone's television friend, Richard Dawson did something most of us only dream about when life gets hard. He erased himself, and he started over as someone else entirely. He was born Colin Lionel Emm on November 20th, 1932 in Gosport, a working harbor town on the south coast of England. His father drove a removal van. His mother worked in a munitions factory, packing the materials of war. It was not a home of money or comfort or much expectation. And then the war came, and even the little he had was taken away. When the German bombs began falling on England's port cities, Colin and his older brother were evacuated, sent away from their parents, away from home, to wait out a war that had no end in sight. He would later say plainly that he attended school regularly for only about 2 years of his entire childhood. Think about that. The man who would charm a nation, who would talk circles around television's quickest wits, had almost no formal education at all. He raised himself on the road, and by the time he was 14, he had decided he was done waiting for anyone to come back for him. At 14, he ran away to sea. He lied about his age and joined the British Merchant Navy, and for the next 3 years, that ship was the only home he had. To survive among grown men, he learned to box. He took the punches, and he learned to throw them back, and he made money doing it. This is the detail that explains everything that came later. The warmth you saw on television was real, but underneath it was a boy who had learned very young that the world would not protect you. You protected yourself. You stayed tough or you went under. And then he did the thing that defined the rest of his life. He took the name Colin Emm, the boy from Gosport, the evacuee, the runaway, and he buried it. He became Richard Dawson. A new name, a new voice. He deliberately softened that broad English accent until Americans could barely place where he was from. He built a man from scratch and stepped inside him. Colin Emm did not die. He was simply never spoken of again. And for the rest of his life, almost no one would ever meet him. The new man rose fast. As a young comedian in London, he caught the eye of Diana Dors, Britain's answer to Marilyn Monroe, the most famous blonde in the country. They married in 1959 and had 2 sons. But the marriage burned out within a few years, and they divorced in 1967. Here is a small, quiet detail that tells you more than the divorce ever could. For years afterward, every single birthday he sent her flowers. And whenever her name came up, he defended her. The man who hid everything still could not let go of the things he loved. In 1965, he came to America and found the role that made his face famous. Corporal Peter Newkirk, the quick-fingered British prisoner on Hogan's Heroes. For 6 seasons, he was the charming schemer, the one who could talk his way out of anything. When that show ended, the charm found a new home. In 1973, the producer Mark Goodson signed him as a panelist on Match Game, alongside Brett Summers and Charles Nelson Riley. And on that loose, smoky, anything-goes set, Richard Dawson became something more than a guest. He became a star. Goodson made him a promise. The next game show pilot they produced, whatever it was, would be his to host. That show turned out to be Family Feud. It premiered in 1976, and almost no one expected it to last. But Dawson did something to it that no one had taught him, and no producer had planned. He made it intimate. He came down off the host's platform. He held people's hands. And one day, when a terrified woman froze trying to name a green vegetable, he leaned in and kissed her and told her it was for luck. She relaxed. She answered. And a national habit was born. The kiss became his signature, and the nickname followed. The Kissing Bandit. To the audience, it was sweetness, a small mercy for nervous strangers under hot lights. He said it was something his own mother used to do for him when he was frightened as a child. And maybe that was true. But notice what he had done. He had taken the most public job in television in front of millions and made the entire thing run on his charm and his terms alone. The boy who trusted no one to protect him had built a kingdom where he held all the warmth and therefore all the power. And there was a side of him the audience never saw at all, because he never put it on camera. Through the 1960s, Richard Dawson, the runaway British boy with 2 years of schooling, marched for civil rights. He joined the marches from Selma to Montgomery. He campaigned for change in a country that was not even his by birth. He did it quietly with no cameras, no announcement, no credit taken. It is the clearest glimpse we ever get of the man underneath. The most public face in America did his most private good where no one was watching. He gave the country his charm in the light and kept his conscience in the dark. This is where the warm version of the story ends and the harder one begins. Because Family Feud was Dawson's show, and he knew it, and he made everyone else know it too. He could turn a broken light bulb or a faulty microphone into a halt that froze the entire production. He told long stories on tape that ran the show minutes over, forcing hours of extra editing, while a crew of grown professionals waited on his mood. The friendliest man on television could make a soundstage feel like it was holding its breath, and he had fought hard to own it in the first place. When Family Feud was being developed, Dawson later said the producers were leaning toward giving the host's job to another star, entirely the actor William Shatner. Dawson had a standing promise from Goodson, and he was not about to let it slide. He and his agent confronted Goodson directly. He was told he could still audition, and he answered with a line that cut straight to the bone, telling Goodson there were no more executives' daughters left for him to marry his way into the job. He got the show, but he never forgot that they had tried to give it away. From that day on, he held it like a man who knew it could be taken. It went beyond temper. His relationship with the show's producer, Howard Felsher, grew so poisonous that Dawson tried to ban the man from his own production entirely. And Mark Goodson, the powerful creator who had given Dawson his start, made a stunning choice. He honored it. Goodson kept Felsher away from the stage to keep his star calm and let Dawson install his own daughter-in-law as the day-to-day producer instead. Read that again. The man who owned the show bent to the talent he could not control. That is not how television works. That is how fear works. And then there was the kiss itself, looked at honestly. The network spent years asking him to stop. Television executives told him again and again that it had to end. He refused. Instead, he turned it into a public vote, asked viewers to write in, and when 200,000 letters sided with him, he used the audience as a shield against the people who signed his checks. One Family Feud executive later estimated the total at close to 20,000 women. Almost none of them were asked first. In his time, it played his charm. Looked at squarely now, it was a powerful man kissing thousands of strangers who were in no position to say no. He knew exactly what he was. In 1987, he played the villain Damon Killian in the film The Running Man, a smiling, ruthless game show host who sends people to their deaths for ratings. Critics raved, and many who knew Dawson said the same quiet thing. He was not acting. He was showing you on purpose the man behind the carnation, the one who ran everything and answered to no one. It may have been the most honest performance of his life. He let you see the second man just once and called it a movie. The kingdom did not last. Family Feud was canceled in 1985, and when it was revived a few years later, the resentment had hardened on both sides. Goodson would not bring him back. He hired a younger, easier man named Ray Combs instead. For nearly a decade, the most popular host the show ever had sat at home, while someone else stood on his stage. Then the wheel turned. Combs's ratings spiraled downward, and he was fired. After Goodson himself died, his son brought Dawson back in a last attempt to save the show. The man who had controlled everything had finally lost the one thing he built, and was called back only when nothing else worked. The silence of those years says more than any argument ever could. The work did not come back the way it once had. He shot a pilot to revive an old classic, You Bet Your Life, and the network passed on it. He auditioned to host another show and lost the job to a former football player. The man who had once made a network, Begg, now found himself auditioning and losing to lesser names. Hollywood has a short memory, and it had no special place left for the difficult genius who had ruled a single stage and burned a few too many bridges to keep it. When he finally returned in 1994, he was a different man. He walked onto the stage to a standing ovation, and he nearly broke. And the very first thing he did was give up the kiss. He told the audience he had made a promise to his young daughter Shannon that from now on, he would kiss only her mother. The kissing bandit had laid down his crown for a child. It was tender. It was real. But it lasted a single season, and then Family Feud let him go for good. He never hosted again. The last chapter belongs to Gretchen. She had walked onto his stage as a contestant in 1981. He called her, asked her out, and she stayed. They married 10 years later. For all the control and all the distance, the man spent his final decades quietly as a husband and a father in a house in Beverly Hills, far from the cameras. He had smoked nearly 4 packs a day for most of his life. It was his daughter who finally got him to stop, and in the end, it was his throat that took him. Esophageal cancer. He died on June 2, 2012, surrounded by his family at 79. And here is the detail no one can quite explain. Richard Dawson died on June 2nd. Ray Combs, the man who replaced him, the man whose career was tangled with his to the very end, had died on that exact same date, June 2nd, 16 years before. The same day. 2 men, 1 stage, 1 date. Coincidence, almost certainly. But it is the kind of coincidence that makes you stop and wonder whether some lives are bound together in ways we are not meant to understand. So who was he really? The warm man or the feared one? The boy named Colin who was sent away and ran away? Or the man named Richard who let no one close enough to send him anywhere again? He buried his real name so deep that most people who loved him never knew it. He held a nation in his hands every night and went home a stranger. We can list the facts. We cannot reach the man. He made sure of that. Richard Dawson kissed 20,000 people and walked off the stage having let almost no one truly know him. And that, in the end, may be the only honest thing we can say about him. We never met the real one. And now, we never will.